In the Marcus Freeman era for Notre Dame football, we have seen true freshman defensive players come in initially and make a big impact. Whether that's Leonard Moore, whether that is Benjamin Morrison, Kingston Viliamu-Asa, there's been defensive players that have come in and made a name for themselves immediately. 2025 is going to be no different. Let's talk about 3 true freshmen that I could see making a difference on the Fighting Irish defense this fall. Ryan Roberts from A to Z Sports, breaking down everything Notre Dame football, getting you all ready for the offseason before you blink. It's going to be spring practice, and we're going to be full sail ahead for the 2025 college football season. Obviously, a lot of excitement around this Notre Dame team going into 2025. And I want to talk about defense, because this is a defense that lost some veteran leaders in Xavier Watts, Jack Kaiser, Riley Mills, Howard Cross, but it brings back a ton of talent. And unlike most years, I don't think that there's necessarily holes that need to be filled by true freshmen, but we know that this 2025 recruiting class is littered with defensive talent. So there's going to be some true freshmen, at least 1 or 2, and I think potentially 3, that can come in and make an impact, whether that is as a role player, whether that is as a starter at some point. There's going to be different iterations of what success means for a couple of these true freshmen, but I want to talk about these young players because I'm excited about them, and it all starts for me at safety with Jadon Blair. Obviously out of the state of North Carolina, Mount Tabor High School in Winston-Salem. This is a 6'5", 190 plus pound safety who everyone and their mother is going to compare to Kyle Hamilton. And from a physical perspective, it's very understandable why. You just don't see a ton of safeties that look like Jadon Blair. And he walks into a safety room. We know Adon Schuler is going to be one of the starting safeties, obviously after his breakout year as a sophomore in 2024. But who's the other safety? Obviously, you bring in Jalen Stroman from Virginia Tech, who's talented. You have Bronte Johnson already on the roster, Kennedy Urlacher, Luke Talich. Like, it is a very talented safety room for Notre Dame. But I would argue, from just pure physical athleticism, total package perspective, Jadon Blair might be number 1 on that depth chart as far as just pure talent. And he's an early enrollee. He was literally with this team during their playoff stretch and during their playoff run. So can a Jadon Blair come in and play day 1? I think he'll have a role, and I wouldn't be shocked if he's starting at some point in 2025. At cornerback, I have an or conversation here, okay? And just follow me for a second. I'm not a chicken. I'm not a coward here, okay? Because there's 2 really talented corners, actually 3 talented corners that are coming in, but I think there's 2 players that I want to talk about most for early playing time. One is Dallas Golden, comes out of the Tampa Bay, Florida area, and he's a player that has played everything in high school. Was a running back, wide receiver, safety, corner, everything. He reminds me a whole lot of Cooper DeJean, who just won a Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he can move all over the place. And in a nickel corner situation where he could potentially back up a couple spots, would not be shocked if he plays a ton. But I also would not be shocked if Mark Zachary, who's out of the state of Indiana, Mr. Football in the state of Indiana. He's a little bit smaller, but his short area explosiveness is great. He's got really good long speed. If he came in and was the backup at nickel and played a lot alongside Devonta Smith and also played to the field a little bit to maybe back up at Christian Gray, would not be shocked at all. So I think one of Dallas Golden and Mark Zachary is going to make an impact in 2025. The only question is, who? My last position, linebacker. Now, this one isn't as much a need because you have 4 tremendously talented linebackers coming back. You have Drake Bowen. You have Kingston Viliamu-Asa. You have Jaden Osbury, and you have Jalen Sneed. All of them were a part of that 5-man linebacker rotation in 2024. So there's not a need here. But I think Madden Firemo, who is a true freshman out of the state of California, 6'2", already 220 plus pounds. This kid is an athletic, physical defender that I think brings a lot of positional flexibility. Like, he could be a Mike, he could be a Will. I even think when you play a little bit more of a 4-3 look and a Sam linebacker, I think he could come in, could play off the edge, could set an edge, could rush the passer at times, a little bit like how Kingston was used in 2024. And we've already seen Notre Dame is totally fine with utilizing a 5-man linebacker rotation. Is Madden Firemo a guy that can come in and play immediately? I think he's talented enough. It's going to be about how quickly he absorbs his defense and what role he finds under new defensive coordinator Chris Ash. Folks, comment section right now. true freshman defenders that you are excited to see in 2025. Who do you think could have a starting role? Who do you think is going to play a ton? And we're going to break down the rest of this true freshman class going towards the spring. It's going to be here before you know it. Going to get excited for the 2025 season and beyond. And you know the drill. As always, go Irish.